Can you give me just one moment?
Yeah.
He's talking to the Alexa, so hold on.
Okay. This is what happens when you have children at home. You're a full-time mom and your kids are consistently busy. This is based on life right here. Hey everyone, welcome back to Makin Macon, where we bring you encouragement and chaos for marriage, family, homemaking, and ministry. I'm Susan Raynor, and I am thrilled to have you join us for another episode of our Homemaking Harmony series. This series is all about finding balance and harmony in our homes, even amidst the busyness and challenges of everyday life. So today I have the pleasure of introducing a very special guest, my sister-in-law, Erica Raynor. Erica is a dear friend and dedicated to homeschooling mom, I'll spit it out here in a minute, who has recently embarked on her homeschooling journey with her 3 wonderful children. Erica and her family currently reside in the great state of Oklahoma. Though they've had the opportunity to live in many beautiful states over the years. Erica has a rich background in education. She's worked in the public school system for several years, and she continues to serve as a Sunday school teacher at her church. Her decision to homeschool came from a desire to provide a nurturing and spiritually enriching environment for her children. So today she'll be sharing her experiences, challenges, and insights from her first year of homeschooling and offering encouragement to other moms who might be considering or currently navigating this path. So grab a cup of tea or coffee, whatever you would like, and get comfortable and join us as we dive into Erica's inspiring story and explore the joys and realities of homeschooling. Erica, welcome to Makin Macon. We are so excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here today.
I know this is probably a little nerve-wracking because you just, it's new doing all these interviews, because I know it is for me. I get a little nervous and then I get tongue-tied and then I spit out a bunch of stuff and then I'm like, I randomly all over the board. But anyway, I am very glad to have you. You are my sister-in-law, so I did say that before and get that out there. We both married, into the Raynor family. And we know how that is. But anyway, so we're just going to get started with your questions really quick, okay? So our first question today is, can you tell us about yourself and your family?
Well, you've done a brief description there. Like you said, my name is Erica Raynor. I have 3 children and a husband, of course. So we live in Oklahoma, and we have a dog. We do have, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. My little boy just walked into the living room. Hey, you're supposed to be in your room, bub, okay? While mommy does this. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. You got kids.
Yes. But yeah, so we're very devoted to our church. We love our church family. And as you said, I've only been doing the homeschooling for 1 year now, so I'm by no means an expert at this. So just bear with me. This is just what I've come to learn, over this past year. So.
And I think that's great because there's probably some other people out there that are planning to be first-time homeschool moms. I know this year is setting a challenge for us as our Christian school has decided to just take a temporary break for a little while until we see about God moving in different directions and giving us some new leadership. As my mom has retired. So I reached out to you actually and was like, okay, what's your ideas? Because all I've dealt with is ACE, and I love, which if you're not sure, that's Accelerated Christian Education, for those of you that don't know. And I love ACE. I did ACE myself. And my daughter has chosen to stay in that direction, but my little boy has a little bit of a different learning curve. He really is very hands-on, has to have things that are very active. And as a mother that's extremely busy, I need something that I know he's going to enjoy, especially being in an environment like home, and because that's hard and very challenging. So on to your next question. What were your initial thoughts and feelings about homeschooling before you started?
Oh my goodness. It was a wide variety. Of course, I was very nervous because I was unsure of myself. Would I be able to educate them, as well as they needed to be? Would I, do it justice, so to speak? So I was definitely nervous going into it. I wasn't very confident. As you stated, I have worked in the school system for, 5 years, and 3 years out of that, I was a teacher's aide. So I have been one-on-one with children and teaching them, but it was just on a lower grade level. My son was starting 3rd grade, and I had been an aide for 1st grade and kindergarten. So I was nervous about it, but I was also really, really excited about it, just to start this and to, be able to kind of build closer relationships with them as well. Have more one-on-one with them. So it was all the feels going into it. So, yeah.
Mommy, I want to finish my food.
Okay. All right.
That's okay, really. I'm surprised that mine hasn't come out either. So this is part of being a mother and doing all the things that we do. So let's go ahead and go to this next question. So did you join a homeschool group or online communities? And if so, how have they supported you?
Well, we are fortunate because the Oklahoma UPCI organization does have a mom's homeschool group. We would get together once a month for field trips. So that's basically all it was. It was just getting together with other moms to get your kids out and have field trips, because you don't get that typically homeschool. So that was a good thing to be a part of. Our kids were able to still, get out with other children and, of people that are of like mind. So it was really nice to get together every month with them. So we did. We were a part of that every month that we had it. There were a few months that we didn't have it, but every time we had one, we were there. So. Yeah.
Well, and I think we should state the obvious too, is that you guys are like us. You're very involved in your church.
Mommy.
Yes.
And the things to do with church. And so that within itself keeps you very busy, especially with your kids.
Okay. Hey, you have to go to your room though, just until this is over. Okay. Yes.
So.
Okay, I will if you go to your room. Okay. Okay. We were out back and we were having target practice, and he's never shot a BB gun before. And so he shot one for the first time. So he had to tell Aunt Susan that he had,
That's exciting. Well, we should have opened with him telling me that, because Trey shot his iPad.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. He was wanting to show his friend Emma his BB gun and how he can shoot his BB gun, and he just shot it.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So he was on FaceTime.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Thankfully, it was just a really old iPad.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. The joys. But anyways, we were saying about we're very involved in our church. And
Yes.
so that does play a huge role in our children's lives. So, I think that's one of our questions that comes up a little bit later about how we keep them socially active, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I don't want to hinder that process. But anyways, your next question. So how did you choose the curriculum for your children? And if you have any websites, anything you'd like to share, you can send them to me later and I can put them in the description box for those that are watching.
Okay.
And then what factors did you consider when you chose your curriculum?
So yes, I did want some curriculum that was somewhat faith-based as far as being good, Christians, just being good people in general, without like doctrinal, type things in there, because I want to be, and my church, guide them in that field. But so that is kind of the way that that's what I was wanting for them. So I have a lady that I go to church with that has homeschooled her children since kindergarten, and her oldest is 5th grade now. So I reached out to her and kind of got some references. She's tried a few different things and she narrowed it down to what she likes now. So I went with that. She uses The Good and the Beautiful for he was going into 3rd grade at the time, Cadence. He's now going into 4th grade, and we're going to continue to use that for him because it is such a good curriculum. It's awesome. They learn so much through it, and a lot of their subjects are hands-on, which, like you were saying, for your son, for my son, you know how Cadence is. They need that. It's hard to keep their attention. So The Good and the Beautiful, it does throw in aspects of being a good person, you know, and loving God and things like that, which is great. I personally have not tried the science on The Good and the Beautiful, though. I had heard by a couple different people that wasn't their favorite, and so I went elsewhere for science. Now, I had just ordered a Amazon science book, and I wasn't too thrilled with it. We went through the year, you know, we got it over with, but I've heard a lot of good things about master books. Like I said, this is my first year, so we're still learning too, but we're going to actually look into doing master books just for the science this year, but we're going to continue with The Good and the Beautiful on all the other subjects just because we enjoy it so much. Now, that being said, I also have a teenager. So I had a high schooler, you know, it was her first year in high school, and here we are homeschooling. So that was a big deal, you know, me being sure would I be able to, you know, help her when things got tough. And so for that, year before last, the UPCI Oklahoma ladies homeschool group had a big seminar, and I didn't attend. I wasn't homeschooling at the time. But my friend at church sent me that link, and when I watched that whole, you know, seminar, and there was a lady that spoke there. Her name's Sister Schmansky out of Texas, and just hearing the testimonies of her boys, they've all graduated now, and all of her, you know, education and her background and everything that she went through, like finding out what worked best for her kids. And just seeing how successful they were, you know, it's like, oh, I want that for my kids, you know. So I started following her on Instagram, and hers is actually The Fervent Family. You can look her up on Instagram. And at the top of her Instagram page, there is a website. It's called the WordPress. And if you click on that, it will actually take you to the website that shows her recommended curriculum on there. So that is what I used for Jaslyn. So it's not all, you know, just through one specific, you know, website. For her, it's like she recommends, you know, this for math, this for science. And so we used a variety for Jaslyn, and she really enjoyed that. She fell in love with biology this year, which was awesome. The only thing with her was the math. She wasn't super thrilled with the math. It was pretty boring for her. So I'm going to try to find something different for math this year. I still haven't, you know, figured that out where I'm going to go for her math, but all the other recommendations were great. She done excellent in writing. She done logic. It was awesome. I think she got a lot out of this past year. So that's where I went. That's who I used, and for my kids. So if that helps somebody, you know, just kind of look and decide if they think that that's good fit for them, then.
Yeah. And then I'll take The Fervent Family, and I'll make sure we put it down in the description box so that somebody, if they're interested, they can look for that link as well. I do know as far as science goes, I was doing some research recently, and there's it's pretty highly rated. It's a little expensive, but I think it was like $119 a year for homeschool moms, which is kind of costly, but it's called Mystery Science. And they integrate a lot of experiments and things like that. You know, they have the video, but then you do some of the experiments with it. And so I thought that looked pretty interesting. You can get a free trial and test it out first before you purchase anything. So I'm sure there's so much more out there that we probably don't know about. And I'm sure we would love to hear from other people, you know, what works for them. But as a new mother, this is good because it's you and what you've experienced. So with that being said, what has been or have been the biggest challenges you faced in your first year of homeschooling?
I believe to me the hardest thing is just sticking with the routine schedule of things, like getting one set and one set that actually works. Because as I stated, my middle son, Cadence, he has ADHD and he's just all over the place. And it's kind of hard to keep his attention and just to keep him on track. So as the year went on, we might have changed things up a bit and taken an extra break here and there. Okay, we'll go ahead and take a break at this time, then we'll take a break at this time, then we'll do lunch. And it may push your day out a little bit longer, but as long as he can stay focused and get through it, that was really my main concern. So for me, that was like that was the most struggle. I have a younger son, the one that came over here a minute ago. He's only 4. Last year, he went ahead and he stayed at his daycare school just because it was our first year of homeschooling. So I took advantage of that, and I was like, you know what, he can stay just so I can get, my feet wet, so to speak, and, get used to being home with them. And so that was great. So this next year is going to be new. It's going to be, getting that routine and that schedule is going to be even more difficult having him at home, because I'm going to be starting him on pre-K this next year. So, but that is to me the biggest challenge. With the older one, it was a little bit easier because hers are all more self-taught. She's got the online videos. I helped her out a couple of times with her math. Thankfully, I was able to do that. But yeah, so she was definitely easier being older like that. She's able to do it more herself. But yeah, the routine, the schedule, just keeping focused, that's the hardest for us.
And I have a feeling that's going to be kind of a challenge this year, but you still have a little bit of freedom, like you said, with him having the challenges to step that out. Whereas at school, he wouldn't have that unless he had the one-on-one with a teacher or something. So,
yeah.
So have you encountered any surprising benefits or unexpected joys in homeschooling?
Yes, absolutely. The flexibility, is amazing. If you have things that are out of your control happen, typically your child, if they are in public school, they're going to miss a lot at school. Now, the teachers may do makeup work when they get back, things like that, but they don't have that hands-on over, whatever was taught while they were gone. They miss out on all of that. So, when things unexpected happen and you have to, maybe leave town for a week or so, you're able to do that, and you're in control of their curriculum and making it up when they get back. So like this year, grandmother got married in March. So guess what? That was their spring break. So when everybody else was on spring break, they were doing schoolwork because they had already had their spring break, and went to Florida for grandmother's wedding. So that was definitely, that's a good thing. I love the flexibility of the schedule. And then also, I would say just having that, like I stated before, more one-on-one time with your child, growing with them. Sometimes, because especially my teenager, it's like, sometimes you feel like, do they even like me? We're growing apart, but just knowing where they are, knowing who they're being influenced by, because for her age at school, it's just priceless to have a little bit more control over that, to be honest. So yes.
Yeah, especially with a teenager, it's real important at that stage in their life. So we talked about it earlier, but about social activities and interactions. How do you deal with that and make sure that they're very active? I know we covered, we're very active in our churches and stuff like that, but what other things did you do to keep them socially interactive?
Well, the majority of it is church related. Anytime we have or we see that, there may be like a youth night going on somewhere, maybe a youth rally at another church, we're big on if we can make it, we make it. Both of our children done Bible quizzing this year. And that is good because they're able to get together with other churches and, yes, it's a competition, but they're getting together with other kids every month at their age. So it's also somewhat of a social thing. Is it really meant to be that? But no. But for my kids, they needed that being homeschooled this year. Mm-hmm. So both of them, like I said, they both homeschool, so they have that. My daughter, she does piano lessons with a lady from our church. Our son, he is pretty athletic, so he did do basketball this year, but we did do it through the Upward program, which is also, a Christian league. So we try to find, you have to be very intentional about it. We try to find things to take them to try to keep them active and around good influences. So that's what we've been.
Yeah. And your daughter's actually with me right now. She's been with me for a little bit. My daughter was with you at her camp for a little while, and now yours is with me. So, I mean, they do stay active. And I know probably some people, if you're not a church person, you don't understand how important we place emphasis on that, but they're surrounded by people that are, good and they get lots of interaction with those young people. And it's the same thing as if we just took them out, to the park. I mean, to meet other people, it's the same thing, and we just enjoy it all the way around. So I agree. So you've already said they do Bible quizzing and stuff like that. So I'm just going to move on to this next one. But looking back on your first year, what would you say was your biggest success?
Watching them grow, to see the learning that they're receiving. And for Cadence, for my third grader, to see him really enjoy some of the books that comes with, say, the literature package. Mm-hmm. He just fell in love with those books. There was one in particular for third grade. It was called Timothy on the 10th Floor. And he just loved that storyline. When you get into it, you'll see, it's between the teacher, the parent, mm-hmm. and the student. So the teacher reads so many pages, the student, so it's very back and forth interactive, but he fell in love with that. And so I remember for one of his quiz tournaments, he asked his dad, because he was wanting the whole set, because they give you that first book to read. And on some of them, they'll have sets that you can order to read mm-hmm. more stories about those characters. And for him, just to see him have that love for those books, and they were good Christian books. I mean, he's a very smart kid. He enjoys reading, but he'll read, just off the wall things, like Captain Underpants, and just all kinds of things. But to see him really want to read something with good values, and that was his request. He said, if I do good at this tournament, if I make the all tournament team, will you buy me the set of these books?
That's awesome.
My husband was like, yeah, sure. And so he did. He made the all tournament team that month, and so he got the books. And then for Jaslyn, I think that, just like I mentioned earlier, to watch her she would get excited about her biology experiments, and just to see her just come alive, so to speak. There was one experiment that she had to get pond water and put different things in each jar with the pond water. Like mm-hmm. one was a boiled egg, one was like rice, and anyway, and so thankfully we have a pond kind of like in our backyard. So, but just to do that process and experiments with it, she loved doing things like that. So I just love watching them love, learning. So mm-hmm. that's like a really big highlight. So yeah.
That's pretty awesome. As a mother, that's always the thing that you want to see, is your kids just enjoying, even though we've taken them out of public school, you want to make sure, they're enjoying the fact of being at home, because it's a change from being with a bunch of people to suddenly just being at home. So to see that is a highlight, I can say. I believe that. So we've got just a few minutes left. I'm going to ask you this last question, and then we'll get off of here so you can get on with your life and taking care of the little man. But what are your plans for the next year of homeschooling?
The next year is to survive. No. So, next year, it's going to look a lot like this year as far as the curriculum. Like I've already said, I'm going to stick with some that we've already used. But this next year, I'm just going to need your prayer because I am throwing the younger one in the mix. But it'll be fun, It'll just probably be a little more lively, a little more winged times, I'm sure. But, the middle child, he's going to have a little more responsibility on him because now that he has had a year and where I've basically sat by him all year long, he's going to have a little more freedom to do some of those subjects on his own that don't require the teacher parent, to be right next to him or to read with him at all times. So it'll be interesting this next year. So, yes.
Yeah, I think it will. Well, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day. Like, I know you're busy. I know how it is. I'm actually going to camp this afternoon to see the kids again at camp a couple hours away. But it's been so good. So good. But anyways, I really do. I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to come and be on my blog. I'm so excited.
Of course.
Yes. And I truly hope that this helps some of you out there that are looking to possibly homeschool your kids this year. Or if you're searching for a curriculum, you've got a new homeschool mom here that even said the good and the beautiful is good. I know there's so many reviews out there. So just even this one little tidbit of information that we've given you today, maybe it will encourage you. School is changing. Society is changing. And we as parents, it is our responsibility to train our children up in the right way. That's biblical. And most of you that follow me here, that's what I'm all about, is making sure that my kids are raised right. And I know she feels the same way. And it's challenging in today's society. It really, really is. So once again, thank you, Erica, for being here with me and being my guest today on my YouTube channel. Thank you. And her blog post, you should go back and read that blog post. It has posted this past Monday. And I want you to be able to take advantage of that and read her details. So I'll make sure I link anything she said in the description box below. And we love you all. And thank you so much for joining us here at makinmacon.com, your source for encouragement in chaos. God bless.